However, as Newcastle United have been running at a profit for the past 3 years, this means that the new owners are able to splash the cash on new players in the up-and-coming transfer windows. This is the thing, they could spend this amount of money if they really wanted to, and that, to me, is very scary.
But I see it better now, 'cause everything you do only says you gotta figure it out.
What's up guys, George Lyons here, welcome back to the Soccernomics YouTube channel, and you're watching The Rounds. As usual guys, before we head off today's episode, just going to let you know to hit that subscribe button if you are new. If you like football content, football finance, football economics, that sort of stuff, then this is the channel for you. So hit that subscribe button and continue watching. Right, so today's episode is obviously about Newcastle United. If you haven't heard the news already, obviously you should have heard it by now, but they've been bought out by some new owners, Saudi Arabian-led consortium, which makes them the richest club in the world by a long shot as well. But what I'm going to be talking about is more specifically how much money they can actually spend in the January transfer window. Obviously, Newcastle United aren't doing too well in the Premier League at the moment. They are sitting in the relegation zone without winning a game at the time of being taken over. So some much needed investment is needed to try and, basically save them from getting relegated, never mind trying to get them to win the league. So with all this new money, how much can they actually spend in the transfer window? But before we get into that, let's talk about Newcastle United's new owners. So as I said before, the new owners are a consortium, which is a group of investors that have come together. This consortium consists of the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund, which is led by the chairman and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, as well as RB Sports and Media, which is led by the Reuben brothers, and finally PCP Capital Partners, which is led by the chief executive Amanda Stavely. 80% of the Magpies will be owned by the Public Investment Fund, otherwise known as the PIF for short, which is actually sort of like a sovereign wealth fund. That being a state-owned investment fund comprised of the money that is generated by the government, often derived from a country's surplus reserves, which in Saudi Arabia's case is mainly generated through their vast oil reserves. The Reuben brothers, who are actually one of the richest families in the UK, I think, made most of their money through like private equity investments and real estate. They own a 10% stake in the club, and they will be represented by Jamie Reuben, who is the son of David Reuben, one of the Reuben brothers. That leaves the remaining 10% being taken by Stavely's PCP Capital Partners, who are based in the UAE but mainly invest in UK assets. So something similar to the Reuben brothers as well, where they invest in private equity investments and also real estate too. In fact, they notably led the Manchester City takeover of Sheikh Mansour in 2008, as well as his recapitalization of Barclays Bank in 2008 as well. Now, although Mohammed bin Salman is the chairman of the PIF, the non-executive chairman of Newcastle United is the governor of the PIF, as well as the chairman of Saudi Aramco, a massive Saudi Arabian oil company, Yasir Al Rumayyan. The PIF is worth around £320 billion, and the Reuben brothers are also worth around £16 billion, which is obviously a lot of money. This means that Newcastle United's new owners make up for about 75% of the entire Premier League owners' wealth. For all you Newcastle fans, works out to be about 8,400 Joelintons, that's a lot of Joelintons. So now that they've got all this money, they can just buy everyone and basically just win the league every single season, no matter what, right? You see, the thing is, that's not true. Not only is it highly improbable that they'll be able to fork out billions and billions of pounds and attract the best players in the world, there is also financial fair play rules, which prevents wealthy owners from coming into football clubs and just injecting the club with huge sums of money. But with financial fair play in mind, hypothetically, how much can Newcastle United spend in the January transfer window without breaking financial fair play rules? Financial fair play is essentially a break-even model that ensures that clubs spend within their means to prevent financial instability. Clubs are allowed to make losses of £15 million pre-tax over a 3-year rolling period. Although this doesn't take into consideration infrastructure costs, running academies, women's teams, even just spending in the community. Club owners are also allowed to inject up to £90 million over the same period through the issuance of club shares. Therefore, a club can theoretically spend whatever they earn over a 3-year period plus £15 million plus £90 million. Unlike a lot of clubs, Newcastle United under the ownership of Mike Ashley actually were a very financially stable club, spending within their means and reinvesting whatever it was that they created in revenues. This sounds like a sound system and a correct way to be running a business. However, football doesn't really work like that. With so many other clubs investing so much money and being so ambitious, these clubs that are trying to be financially stable and spending within their means will have the quality of football suffer, and then in turn the business will suffer. And that is precisely what happened to Newcastle United under Mike Ashley's reign. Going from challenging for titles in the late 90s 90s and challenging for the top 4 in the early 2000s to, whilst under Mike Ashley's reign, basically just mid to low table mediocrity and also 2 relegations under their belt. However, as Newcastle United have been running at a profit for the past 3 years, this means that the new owners, the Saudi Arabian consortium, are able to splash the cash on new players in the up-and-coming transfer windows. Looking at Newcastle United's annual reports in 2019, we can see that their after-tax profits came to £34.7 million. In 2020, they did make a loss of £22.5 million, but that is mainly as a result of revenues taking a hit as a result of basically the pandemic. Although the 2021 financial statements haven't been released yet for Newcastle United, we can expect that the revenues would have somewhat reached where it was pre-COVID levels. But as most clubs suffered as a result of the pandemic, the FFP rules have been changed to allow 2020 and 2021 to be counted as 1 year, meaning that 2018 still counts. So if we were to say that Newcastle made a after-tax profit of £35 million in 2021, and we also count 2018, which was £18.6 million after-tax profit, in total that is a £65.8 million profit over the FFP period. If we then take the £65.8 million plus £15 million for the losses that are allowed, then also take on the £90 million that is allowed to be injected through the issuance of shares, this will give us about £170 million. So this means that Newcastle United can spend £170 million in January, right? Wrong again. They can in fact spend a lot more. How though? Player amortization. Player amortization is an accounting tool used to realise the cost of player transfer fees and wages over the lifetime of their contract. This means that should you spend £40 million on Joel Linton on a 4-year contract earning $100,000 a week, you would be spreading that £40 million over the lifetime of his contract, which is 4 years. Therefore, each year you are spending £10 million. And as he's on £100,000 a week, that would work out to be £5.2 million in wages a year as well. So you'd recognise the costs. Instead of it being £40 million right up front, it would be £15.2 million for 4 years, as long as Joel Linton stays at the club for the entire amount of his contract. With that in mind, if Newcastle United can spend up to £170 million theoretically in the January transfer window, that means that they can theoretically also spend double, triple, even quadruple that when you take into consideration spreading that cost over 2, 3, 4 years. So hypothetically, Newcastle United could spend, if they wanted to, £500 million in the January transfer window without breaking financial fair play rules. This is why Simon Jordan on TalkSport was talking about how Newcastle United can spend so much more than £200 million in January if they really wanted to. It's quite scary to think about, especially considering the fact that with success, normally club revenues will increase, especially when you think about broadcasting rights. If you are getting higher up the league, you get more of a cut of TV rights, and also you're going to be competing in European competitions, as well as commercial deals as well. You can think that so many more people are going to be buying Newcastle United shirts. They're probably going to get more commercial deals for advertisements and endorsements. It's a lot more money that will be coming into Newcastle United, even though that right now they're still in a healthy position. The reality of this happening though is highly unlikely. It would mean that if Newcastle United were to spend that amount of money, they wouldn't really be able to spend much more in future windows unless they sold some of their players to basically receive some sort of profit. The problem is though, the current squad they've got right now isn't really worth that much, and I can't think of very many players that they could get decent money for. Besides Alan St-Maximin, I forgot, alright. It's also honestly probably not the smartest, most efficient, most well-planned strategy to spend £500 million on player transfers within your first 3 months of owning the club, but this is the thing, they could spend this amount of money if they really wanted to, and that to me is very scary, and it shows just how much money they could put into the club in the following years. Yeah, so that's right, Liverpool are never going to win the title again. Thank you. It's been a nice ride. Thank you, Jurgen Klopp. Thank you, Mo Salah. Thank you, Virgil van Dijk. But yeah, it looks like Newcastle, Man City, Chelsea, Man United. God's sake, we're never going to win anything again. Anyway, that's all I've got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'd love to hear what you think of the Newcastle United takeover. Obviously, there's a bit of a dark area there. If you did like today's episode, be sure to hit the like button for us. We really appreciate your support. Also, most of you guys who are watching aren't subscribed. If you like this sort of content, football finance, football economics, that sort of stuff, then this is a channel for you. So hit that subscribe button and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. And apart from that, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you very soon.
Being a stranger to what we lost, I'll keep my guard down and hope it comes back around, cause I still just feel like I'm gonna keep running.